Hi there YouTube, Carlos here. As promised, I have another replay analysis to show off. This one is going to be utilizing the September ban list, and it is taking place for the same tournament as my last video. As a quick reminder, this tournament follows standard Master Duel rules, but Maxx is banned. For today's replay analysis, I'm going to be covering a game I had versus Karibo. Karibo is playing Dragon Link and I am playing Labrynth.
Get ready for battle!
So due to the format of the tournament, I got to decide whether I wanted to go first or second, and I know in advance that Karibo is playing Dragon Link as they have already played versus my other teammates. Going first, my hand is Torby, Extravagance, Welcome, Overroot, and Big Welcome. Their hand is Quick Launch, Allure, Safer, Tracer, and Ash Blossom. A fairly strong hand given that they are playing a 60 card deck. I start off by firing off Extrav, and that is met with the Ash Blossom. So the next course of action is to activate Torby, and here's where I have my first decision to make. I have to decide what do I want to pitch off the Torby, and I have to decide what card I want to set off the Torby. There's really two schools of thought here. You can either pitch the Welcome and set a Big Welcome, and this produces more follow-up but yields one less interruption, or you can instead pitch the Big Welcome and set the Field Spell. Now I set Welcome and Overroot. So if we consider what we have now, the Field Spell is a pop, Overroot is another interruption, Big Welcome can be a bounce to hand, and if we successfully summon off Lovely off of the Welcome, then it is also a pop. So 4 forms of interruption. Our opponent starts off by activating Allure. They banish the Tracer. This is fairly good for me as it's a fairly weak banish. Now they activate Lubellion and search Magnamut to ensure they have a Dark in hand before firing off the second Allure. This second Allure draws into Thunder Dragon Dark, which is a much more productive banish, and that's able to search Hawk, and the Hawk is able to summon out the Dark in the banish zone to now link off for Thunder Dragon Colossus. Now my opponent has done all of these plays, prompting responses from me, but while Colossus is a scary boss monster, it actually doesn't do much against Labrynth, and so I'm able to completely let them play until this point without fear of the Colossus on the field. But now they activate Quick Launch and summon out a Tracer. Then they activate Magnamut, targeting my Torby. And here I do have to respond with something, and I'm going to start off by firing off Welcome Labrynth.
Hello, boys.
With Welcome, I summon out Lovely. And I pop the Tracer at Resolution using the Field Spell. This prompts my opponent to use their second Quick Launch to summon out the other Tracer, and now they synchro off for Barone.
Don't touch him, he's ginger!
Now, originally, I was afraid of them making Barone, and that's why I activated the Welcome earlier. But now that I have a Lovely on field, Barone is not that scary. While Lovely is on the field, your opponent cannot activate monster effects in response to your trap cards. So I'm able to activate Terrors of the Overroot now, targeting the Barone on the field and the Ash in their graveyard, and my opponent cannot use the Barone they just summoned.
I told you.
Effectively, my Terrors of the Overroot just traded for 2 monsters. Now my opponent commits their normal summon, and now that they've committed their normal summon, I have to really think about my last 2 forms of interruption. I have the Big Welcome in graveyard, and I have Lovely on the field, which can pop a card. If my opponent's last card is a final extender, like for example the 3rd Quick Launch, then I'm cooked either way. But from this point forward, I have to play as if the card in hand is not an interruption, and I have to commit my last 2 pops. So I use Big Welcome to bounce back the Colossus, and then at Resolution I trigger Lovely to pop the Safer. Safer is able to add back Lubellion, but that's been used this turn. And my opponent passes turn after drawing a Levy off of Magnamut in the end phase. So my engine is running low as the Torby was banished. All I have is a Lovely and the field spell, but I do draw Prosperity, a fairly strong draw, so I immediately fire it off and banish 6. In my extra deck, I leave behind a Muckracker, an Angel, and an Atis, the 3 most important cards in my extra deck, and I'm lucky that I'm able to still have a copy of each even after resolving Extravagance and Prosperity.
Lucky.
The Prosperity reveals 2 Gammas, Big Welcome, Nibiru, Torby, and Welcome. Ideally, I would have liked to have seen an Ariana, but in lieu of an Ariana, I'll take the Big Welcome. In main phase 1, I reset the Overroot with Lovely. This plays around on my opponent possibly having Gamma, a very real threat in the Dragonlink strategy. And in main phase 2, I set Big Welcome. In draw phase, I had a consideration to make. Given the fact that I know my opponent has Leviair because it was added off Magnamut, and they have lights and darks engraved, notably Thunder Dragon Dark and Thunder Dragon Hawk, I cannot let this Levy hit the board. If the Levy is successfully summoned at the start of main phase 1, there is not much I can do to prevent myself from losing this game. So, in other words, my only real win condition here is to fire off Big Welcome Labrynth in the draw phase and pray that I am able to pop the Leviair that is in their hand, a 1 in 4 chance. So I go for it.
Almighty protector of the viewers and subscribers, I beg of thee, please heed my cry. Transform thyself from orb of light and bring me sons in this fight. I beseech thee, grace my humble channel. But first I shall call out thy name, Morkalos.
And Lovely comes through, and it pops the Leviair.
I have the target in sight.
Now, I should mention that a better summon off the Big Welcome here would have been Kuklok in order to activate this Welcome Labrynth this turn. But my timer was dangerously close to running out, and I did not have a lot of time to think. But if you were in my position here, please grab Clock, as it lets you activate the Welcome, and the Welcome converts into another pop using the field spell. So they activate Lubellion and search Druisworm this time. Druisworm banishes the Hawk, and the Hawk is able to recycle their hand, putting back 2 dead cards in order to draw 2 more dead cards. The Druisworm triggers upon being sent to the graveyard for Lubellion summon in order to send my Lovely to the graveyard. At this point, my Overroot is baited because the trap card that I set off of it can only be activated while I control a Fiend monster. Moreover, I always want to use Overroot here because Overroot is a trap card that could be stopped by Ghost Spell, and at least while Lovely is on the field, my opponent will not be able to respond to Overroot with Ghost Spell. And once again, I set the Ash Blossom, just letting my opponent know that, don't bring Ash against me.
Hey, no, stop, just calm down, don't do it, you're not going out there.
Here they set 1 card and pass. So if I had grabbed the Kuklok earlier, I would have been able to use this Welcome Labrynth at end phase, and I would have been in a much better position. However, given this simplified game state, it fortunately did not matter. As on my turn, after drawing an Nibiru, I'm able to fire off the Welcome Labrynth, summon Ariana, pop the Imperm with the field spell, activate Ariana, and my opponent concedes. So that game really came down to the wire, and it did involve a little bit of luck there. On turn 1, I also had to make the very risky play of going for a 4 interruption line with less follow-up as opposed to a 3 interruption line with more follow-up. But versus Dragonlink, specifically, they are a deck which can very quickly snowball if you just allow 1 level 4 dragon to stay on the board. I decided to make the choice, go for the most interruptions possible, as my goal is really to live a turn. Follow-up is pointless if you do not get to live to turn 3. So that concludes this replay analysis. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you found it informative. I look forward to bringing some more tournament analyses for you in the future. Okay, Morkalos signing off. Bye-bye, YouTube.